Oliver. So, what do you think? High ankle? Adam Schefter says multi-week. They play Thursday next week.
Right.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So, high ankle, like if it's worse, it's more specific and longer, and it's just not like the lowest of low ankle sprains where you wouldn't ever say multi-week.
Yeah.
So, you know who I was thinking about today? When the show will never have sounded older. Second day in a row for a Shula-era Dolphins reference. John Offerdahl was a linebacker for the Shula Dolphins. Tom Olivadotti,
not
the
to be
defensive
confused with
coordinator.
Tom Olivadotti, right? Okay.
He was the beleaguered-looking. The Bills would play them, and there would be like the obligatory shots of the defensive coordinator on the sideline with the headset. Tom Olivadotti had like white curly hair and just like a very sad face because Thurman Thomas was on the Bills, at least at that time. Eventually he was on the Dolphins, by the way, if you believe it.
Beleaguered is a very good way to describe him.
And this poor guy, they never really figured out what to do with Thurman. And on the other side, on the same side of the ball, actually, John Offerdahl, I want to say, was an oft-injured inside linebacker for Miami. And I remember, it was kind of a big deal whether he would play in games against the Bills. It's Kelly and Marino. Is Offerdahl going to play? And if Offerdahl, it's fun to say Offerdahl.
Yes.
If Offerdahl is going to play,
I like saying Olivadotti, too.
They're both great names, both O names. If he doesn't, then, easy peasy. The Bills will just have no trouble at all with Oliver is also a Miami Dolphins.
Louis Oliver, right.
O name. But Offerdahl was a big factor, a big topic before those.
Was that because he was the one who maybe had the best chance of covering Thurman on
I don't
pass
know.
patterns?
No,
out
I
of the
think more. I think more
run game.
I think more inside.
Yeah. Okay.
But still, he was important. Mm-hmm. And when he wouldn't play, that's great news. Ed Oliver.
Oh.
Is he this? How important is he to any of this? He had a really good opener. Now he's gone for probably at least 2 games. Certainly one. This game. It's a kind of a tricky opponent to not have, your best defense. Mm-hmm. And, that's going to be what we talk about the most for the next 2 days is, what are the Bills on defense?
Yeah,
we're talking about it a lot.
A few things there, I think. One thing that comes to mind is that Oliver has mostly, I think he earned the contract extension that he got. He's been at times a very flashy and important player, and other times I think a relatively underwhelming player. You want more. You want more consistency from him. Maybe even you might even take less dramatic impact and just more plateau, just more solid, really good, but you like the splash plays. Obviously you got a huge play out of him late in this game that I don't think the Bills win the game without him forcing that fumble on Derrick Henry. So, I want to be careful what I wish for, but he's kind of up and down, I feel like. And so he has this great game, and it might be the kind of game that, and the opponent here this week, the Jets, they're going to, you've described it, right? They're Baltimore light with Fields and Breece Hall. So can Oliver put a second solid week together? Maybe that's the beginning of a season where he finally gets, some recognition and, deserves it. And now he's out. The season's barely even in the air, and he's out, and may miss more than one game. So that's disappointing, certainly. For the big picture, can we get an impact defender? We're all these assets, that first round picks and free agents and everything they've done to the defensive line, they don't really have a guy that is really perceived as a regular game wrecker. And that might be a lot to ask him to do that, but I think the reviews were so good on Sunday. Okay, put another good game together. You're going to be called on. This is a challenging opponent, maybe similar enough to what you just did well against in week 1. So he loses that opportunity, and I do think it's a big loss. It squarely puts the
draft
in focus.
We're already to
the second pick,
the draft,
the second round pick in Sanders, the fourth round pick in Deion Walker. Free agency doesn't really impact this that much because Ogunjobi's suspended, Hoyt is suspended, Bose is there. But in the interior, the changes were those three guys, the draft picks and Ogunjobi, and the two draft picks did not have a great time of it. And by the way, the draft pick in between Sanders and Walker is Landon Jackson, and he didn't get a uniform in week 1, and I doubt he'll get a uniform in week 2. He's going to be a long play developmental prospect, it looks like, at this point. So for all the attention that was paid to the defensive line, the two guys that are left there, who I would think their playing time is going to go up significantly in this game with no Ed Oliver, somebody's going to have to come through, and that might be a lot to ask considering how last week went, because I don't think either one of them showed very well for themselves in this game.
Yeah, it's what I've been thinking about the most this week is as really, and I said very, very similar to this yesterday, magical as Sunday night was, it turns 180 if they can't stop this team, even if they win. I mean, if it's 41-40 again, what have we got? We knew that Allen was great. We know the offense has a super high ceiling, but what is happening on defense? And you'll get your suspended players back. You'll get Oliver back, and Trey White, he might play even in this game, but that'll be kind of scary and new for us watching the Bills to have them, not if it happens. Look like they're up to it defensively. And it really puts, for our conversations, I think, it would really put McDermott and Bean under the microscope. Because here's McDermott, whose advantage, along with other things, you have to give him credit, or a lot of credit, for what the Bills are overall. But it's really like defensive acumen and being able to, despite certain adversities, make the defense sing. And now you've got Bean, who poured, with McDermott along, poured the draft capital into the defense, shunned receiver again. I say again because I'm going to ignore that for the last 2 years their first pick was a pass catcher. Still, this is what they did this year, and will it matter? And so the Jets are not the Saints, who are in 2 weeks, as a team that you might not think has really anything scary, but they're still the Jets. This is a team that had one of the worst records in the league last year, one of the lowest win totals in the league this year. Yeah, you can't have it.
Yeah, whatever. However positive the reviews on their new tackles are, say, right, and just how much more formidable they may be as an opponent because of that. Yeah, it's still the Jets. We're not. You're not going to go beyond surface. If you struggle with this team, or even lose to this team, yeah, I think they're going to be, because last week it's what's the disclaimer? Well, it's Baltimore. It's a bad matchup. We knew that, and they stole it. Okay, I'm not in the mood to criticize that. You got the win, that's what matters the most, and now button everything else up. Okay, the schedule lightens up, and let me see you look like a team that, is one of the top Super Bowl favorites. And if you have a tough time stopping the Jets, then I think that would be pretty alarming. It might be in the defense of the two kids that are going to be called on, I think, significantly here, a little early for an exam. They I think struggled in 16 and 13 snaps respectively. None for, I think it was Walker past the third quarter. They just didn't even put him back out on the field anymore. I mean, that might also be because they needed stops. And I'm going to play my best guys trying to get the ball back here, in a game we're chasing, and they ended up, obviously catching up and winning. But still, it's definitely not ideal in my eyes, and I'll bet even in the Bills' eyes that they've got to go to these guys for 50 to 60% of snaps, say. I'm just estimating. They're going to activate, it sounds like, from what Daquan Jones said after practice today, Zion Logue off the practice squad.
Oh, Zion Logue season.
To replace Ed Oliver, he just let that slip. We got guys here, and he mentioned Logue by name, which makes it sound like he knows he's coming up. So there's your Oliver roster spot, I think. So I mean, does he play more than Sanders or Walker? I think if he does, that's probably bad news for how it's going with Sanders and Walker.
Would you take the Bills scoring 24 points? Last 6 trips, Allen's career at the Jets, working backwards chronologically, 23, 16, that was an overtime game, 17, 45, they, blew him out, 18, 17. Prior to that was Matt Barkley putting up 41.
I'm not inclined to say yes to 24 points. I would hope that that's enough to beat the Jets, but with no Oliver and the way they looked overall last week, again, against the Ravens versus against the Jets.
At home, though.
I'm afraid you might need more than 24 to beat this team.
It was a home game, and it was by the end of the third quarter, almost,
right.
40. That's not to, you shouldn't ignore how the game ended. I mean, they did get stops in the fourth quarter, 3 in a row, including the takeaway. So the total is 46.5, and at where I'm looking now, and the Bills are 6.5 point favorite. So that's easy math. 26.5 to 20 is the implied total. I got another one for you.
Go on.
Would you take 4-1? Jets, Dolphins, Saints, New England.
Boy, it feels greedy to say no, but you should be, what you said, 6.5 this week?
Yep. The other games are all, at the moment,
higher
the
than that?
headlines are all higher than that. The Jets, last Friday, the Jet game was 8.5. But the Jets looked good, and the Bills' defense did not look good.
I also want to say no. I'm usually pretty, I feel like with a would you take, I can often be pretty, I don't want to be a pig. Sure, that's fine. 4-1's fine. I mean, 4-1 would be a good record, obviously, but with who you're playing.
Who do they lose to?
Right. I don't think I want to settle for that. I mean, if you lose to the Jets in week 2. What? You lose, and maybe that starts a whole, the Jets are actually really a lot better than we thought they would do. Okay. Miami at home, the Saints, New England in a night game? No. I'm not signing up for any of that.
4-1.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Not good enough for you.
I mean, I could see, I think Atlanta, we'll see if they had a kind of a weird week 1.
You get them Sunday night. Will you watch your first Falcons game of the last 5 years? Sunday night at Minnesota.
Probably not, because I'm not going to be home.
Right.
I'm gonna see the Bills game. I'm going to this Borderland festival that started. Not my friends Leroy Towns are playing right now at this festival. It's going to be going all weekend.
So are the Penguins and the Bruins, by the way, at Harbor Center.
I will be there all day.
He's not playing that
all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and they have like a Bills tailgate party, big screen. Like they'll make accommodations for people who want to watch football. So I'm going to watch the Bills game there. But it will not be a day where after that I'm just in front of the TV, So
Falcons, Minnesota just sounds like a game you can afford to miss.
Yeah, probably. It's not a bad Sunday night game to have scheduled for this weekend for me.
Plus, you got 2 on Monday,
right?
Which you got to make sure you're down for.
But
although you're not watching the second game on Monday either because it's too late.
Right. But I'm bummed out about Chiefs and Eagles. I'll have my iPad. I'll probably sneak some peeks. It's not like I'm, going to be chained to something, but, I'll be out. So it's not.
All right.
It won't be a sitting in front of the TV day for me on Sunday, as it turns out. Which I'm happy about. I'll miss the football, but I love this festival.
I have a tough time turning down 4-1. It's still the NFL. And if they had beaten Baltimore more convincingly, which is like pretty much any other way, because they really were outplayed. I mean, they were lucky to win. It's to their credit that they pulled it out. But still, like it was Baltimore's game almost the whole night. If they had beaten the Ravens more convincingly, and maybe the Jets looked worse, then maybe you could get me to no on 4-1.
Does this look like the hardest game of the next 4?
Yes.
Because it's on the road and the Jets look good in week 1?
The only that could change I don't think it changes if Miami wins Sunday over New England by like double digits. I think it could change if New England wins by double digits because they had a rough week one. And it's not only that. If you followed the discourse this week with the Patriots, it's Mike Vrabel talking about how there's too much on Drake May's plate, and Josh McDaniels saying, no, there isn't.
Nice.
Like he's got enough, and it's not even that much, basically, is what McDaniel said. So that was not a great opener for them. I mean, not a great first week. If they go to Miami and romp, I mean, the line is like 1, so we'll talk to Sam about it in a minute. If they have, he's not on the Patriots at all. Like he'll tell you Miami. If that happens though, then all right, where we're sort of back to what the preseason sounded like with New England. But until that happens, I think it's this game. And, Joe Ostrowski has me a little spooked on this game with the money on the Jets.
The smart money.
It's still not.
Is that what it's called? The smart money?
The sharp
money, whatever.
6.5 is the number today. So it's not like it pushed really at all further from what he was saying yesterday. Sam Panayotovich, bet sweats coming up. We'll talk Bills, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins, and more. Week 2 in the NFL. He's always got a couple of good college football ideas for us as well. Evan Silva today at 4. Get your fantasy questions answered. Then Sal Capaccio at 5. We'll dig into the matchups, the Oliver injury, and what else we might need to know with the Bills injury report out today. You've got Trey White, Hancock, and who else? Not Benford. Benford practiced in full, but there's somebody else back there. Taron Johnson, right. Also listed as questionable. That's it. So, I don't know. Not the worst team you could play when your secondary is in rough shape. Pretty early for it to be in rough shape, week 2.
Yeah. Sam
Panayotovich next. Football Friday, everybody, here on WGR. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog will be back in a snap. That's brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official